Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. Yeah, definitely wonderful Kirtan. I didn't want it to stop, but we have to start the class as well. Thank you all very much for your association this morning. So today we're talking about Lord Krishna himself and how about his disappearance and the disappearance of the Yadu dynasty. So in the Bhagavad-Gita, it's stated that anyone who factually understands the transcendental appearance and disappearance of the Lord by his inconceivable energy becomes liberated from the laws of birth and death and is placed in the eternal spiritual sky where the Vaikuntha planets are. These such liberated persons can eternally live without the pangs of birth, death, old age and disease. So if we can understand his appearance and disappearance, which is transcendental, it's not like a normal, like us, normal human being. This transcendental appearance and disappearance, just like the sun is always there. We get day and night, we think the sun has gone, but it's still there. It's just out of our sight, that's all. So let's do some prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham Kroti Vashanam Pangum Langyate Grim Yat Kirpa Tapam Vande Shri Guru Te Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Narayanam Namskrita Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatojayam Udiriyat Nasta Preshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nishtaki. Hare Krishna. So Srila Sutta Goswami said, so Arjuna went to Dwarka to see Lord Krishna and other friends and also to learn from the Lord of his next activities. So as stated in Bhagavad-Gita, the Lord descended to earth for the protection of the faithful and the annihilation of the impious. So after the battle of Kurukshetra and establishment of Maharaj Yudhishthira, the mission of the Lord was complete. So whatever he came to do, he had completed. And the Pandavas, especially Arjun, were eternal companions of the Lord, and therefore Arjun went to Dwarka to hear from the Lord of his next program of work, because they totally relied on Sri Krishna. Their whole life was dedicated for Sri Krishna. Now a few months passed and Arjun did not return back to Maharaj Yudhishthira. And Maharaj Yudhishthira then began to observe some inauspicious omens which were fearful in themselves. Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is more powerful than the most powerful sun of our experience. Millions and billions of suns are created by him and annihilated by him within his one breathing period. In the material world, the sun is considered to be the source of all productivity and material energy, and only due to the sun can we have the necessities of life. Therefore, during the personal presence of the Lord on the earth, all paraphernalia for our peace and prosperity, spiritual religion and knowledge, were in full display because of the Lord's presence. So that was the case while Krishna was here, and just as there is a full floodlight in the presence of the glowing sun, Maharaj Yudhishthira observed some discrepancies in his kingdom. So that shining torch, the shining lamp, he felt there's something missing, there's something had gone, something been turned off, and therefore he became very anxious about Arjun, who was also long absent, and there was also no news about Dwarka's well-being. He suspected the disappearance of Lord Krishna because he noticed things had changed in the world. There's something, there's light had left. Otherwise, there would have been no possibility of fearsome omens if Krishna was here. He saw that the direction of eternal time had changed, and this was very fearful. There were disruptions in the seasonal regularities. The people in general had become very greedy, angry, and deceitful, and he saw that they were adopting foul means of livelihood. So when civilization is disconnected from the loving relation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, symptoms like changes of seasonal regulations, foul means of livelihood, greed, anger, and fraudulence become rampant. The change of seasonal regulations refers to one season's atmosphere becoming manifest in another season. For example, the rainy season being transferred to autumn. Well, we get that, don't we? The April showers will come in May, and you might even get snow in May. So it's all over the place. Or the fructification of fruits and flowers from one season in another season. A godless man is invariably greedy, angry, and fraudulent. Such a man can earn his livelihood by any means, black or white. During the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, all the above symptoms were conspicuous by their absence. But Maharaj Yudhishthira was astonished to experience even a slight change in the godly atmosphere of his kingdom. And at once he suspected the disappearance of the Lord. So a man becomes too greedy for wealth and power when he has no higher objective in life. And when he thinks that this earthly life of a few years is all in all, and the ignorance is the cause of all these anomalies in human society. And to remove this ignorance, especially in this age of degradation, the powerful sun is there to distribute light in the shape of Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we have no bigger cause, we take on the smaller causes and we magnify them, thinking they are everything, they are very important to us in our life. We can make little things very big when we have nothing important to do. Even the little things, they seem important. All ordinary transactions and dealings become polluted with cheating, even between friends. And in familiar affairs, there was always misunderstanding between fathers, mothers, and sons, between well-wishers and between brothers. Even between husband and wife, there was always strain and quarrel. So conditioned living being is endowed with 4 principles of malpractice. So we have 4 defects, namely errors, which is like committing mistakes, insanity, which is illusion, inability, so we have imperfect senses, and cheating propensity. These are signs of imperfection. And out of the 4, the propensity to cheat others is most prominent. That is so true. We get opportunity, we will cheat people in one way or the other. And this cheating practice is there in the conditioned souls, because the conditioned souls are primarily in the material world, imbued with an unnatural desire to lord it over the material world. We can even cheat ourselves many times. We think we can fool ourselves as well. So living being in his pure state is not conditioned by the laws, because in his pure state he is conscious that a living being is eternally subservient to the Supreme Being. And thus it is always good for him to remain subservient, because that is our natural position. Instead of forcefully trying to lord it over the property of the Supreme Lord, in the conditioned state, the living being is not satisfied even if he actually becomes the lord of all that he surveys, which he never becomes. And therefore he becomes the victim of all kinds of cheating, even with his nearest and most intimate relations. In such an unsatisfactory state of affairs, there is no harmony even between father and sons or between husband and wife. But all these contending difficulties can be mitigated by one process, and that is the devotional service of the Lord. The world of hypocrisy can be checked only by counteraction through devotional service to the Lord, and nothing else. Maharaj Yudhishthira, having observed the disparities, conjectured the disappearance of the Lord from the earth. So he saw all these changes going on. It becomes a dog-eat-dog environment. There's something not quite right. In course of time, it became to pass that people in general became accustomed to greed, anger, pride, etc. And Maharaj Yudhishthira, observing all these omens, spoke to his younger brother. So such a pious king as Maharaj Yudhishthira at once became perturbed that when there were such inhuman symptoms, such as greed, anger, irreligiosity, and hypocrisy rampant in society, it appears from this statement that all the symptoms of degraded society were unknown to the people of the time, and it was astonishing for them to have experienced them with the advent of Kali Yuga, or the age of Kali. So in Dwapar Yuga, it seems that people were very pious, and all these defects weren't that prominent at that time. But as Kali Yuga was approaching, these defects started to manifest in people, and that was like that was the symptoms, or that was the signs that the Lord has left, and Kali Yuga is now taking over, because Kali Yuga cannot come until the Lord leaves. They can't have light and darkness all at the same time. When the light has left, then the darkness of Kali Yuga appears. O Brahman Shanak, while Maharaj Yudhishthira, observing the inauspicious signs on the earth at that time, was thus thinking to himself, Arjun came back from the city of the Yadus. So Arjun came back from Dwarka while Maharaj Yudhishthira was deep in his thoughts about all this. Now when Arjun bowed at his feet, the king saw that his dejection was unprecedented. His head was down, and tears glided from his lotus eyes. Seeing Arjun pale due to heartfelt anxieties, the king, remembering the indications of the sage Narad, questioned him in the midst of friends. My brother Arjun, please tell me whether your health is all right. You appear to have lost your bodily luster. Is this due to others disrespecting and neglecting you because of your long stay at Dwarka? And Maharaj Yudhishthira asked so many questions of Arjun, from different angles, to try and get an answer from him. But actually he knew the answer, but he was just slowly, step by step, working his way towards that. So Maharaj inquired from Arjun about the welfare of Dwarka, but he concluded at last that as long as Lord Krishna himself was there, nothing inauspicious could happen. But at the same time, Arjun appeared to be bereft of his bodily luster, and thus the king inquired of a personal welfare and asked so many vital questions. Suta Goswami says that Arjun, the celebrated friend of Lord Krishna, was grief-stricken because of his strong feeling of separation from Krishna, over and above all Maharaj Yudhishthira's speculative inquiries. So being too much aggrieved, Arjun practically became choked up, and therefore it was not possible for him to reply properly to the various speculative inquiries of Maharaj Yudhishthira. So Maharaj Yudhishthira knew, but he wanted to hear it from Arjun, but Arjun was just too choked up to say what he wanted to say. Remembering Lord Krishna and his well-wishes, benefactions, intimate familiar relations, and his chariot driving, Arjun, overwhelmed and breathing very heavily, began to speak. So he plucked up the courage and pulled himself together, and then he began to speak. And he says, "O King, the Supreme Person of Godhead, Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Thus my astounding power, which astonished even the demigod, is no longer with me." So in Bhagavad-Gita 10.41, Lord says, "Anyone specifically powerful and opulent in wealth, strength, beauty, knowledge, and all that is material desirable is to be considered but a product of an insignificant portion of the complete whole of my energy. No one, therefore, can be independently powerful in any measure without being endowed by the Lord." So, and if we have any kind of wealth, strength, beauty, and knowledge, it's given by the Lord. It belongs to the Lord, so we should not get arrogant about it. The Lord has given it to us for the time being. It's impermanent. No one, therefore, can be independently powerful in any measure without being endowed by the Lord. When the Lord descends the earth, along with his eternal, ever liberated associates, he not only displays the divine energy possessed by himself, but also empowers his associate devotees with the required energy to execute his mission of incarnation. The power and energy which were bestowed upon Arjuna were required for fulfillment of the mission of the Lord. But when his mission was fulfilled, the emergency powers were withdrawn from Arjuna. So Arjuna, the great warrior, the great archer, his powers were taken away from him because they were no longer required. Those now Arjuna's duty was to go back home, and he didn't need to be a great archer or a powerful warrior to go back home. He just needed devotion. He just needed to be a strong devotee, intimate devotee of Lord Krishna. That's the only power he needed. He didn't need any other power, so he was withdrawn from him. Powers of Arjuna, which were astonishing even to the denizens of heaven, were no longer required, and they were not meant for going back home, back to Godhead. If endowment of powers and withdrawal of powers by the Lord are possible even for a great devotee like Arjuna, or even the demigods in heaven, then what to speak of the ordinary living beings who are but figs compared to such great souls? The lesson is therefore that no one should be puffed up for his powers borrowed from the Lord. The sane man should rather feel obliged to the Lord for such benefactions and must utilize such power for the service of the Lord. Such power can be withdrawn at any time by the Lord. So the best use of such power and opulence is to engage them in the service of the Lord. So if we have some kind of quality, some facility, use it in the service of the Lord before it is taken away. If it's not taken away while we're living, well, it will definitely be taken away when we die. Everything is taken away from us. We start from the beginning. So if we can use that, what power Krishna gives us, if we can use that in his service, whether it's beauty, wealth, knowledge, anything, if we can use it in his service, then it's the power, will bring us more mercy from Krishna. Use it to a best benefit that way. O Emperor, now I am separated from my friend and dearmost well-wisher, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore my heart appears to be void of everything. In his absence, I have been defeated by a number of infidel cowherd men while I was guarding the bodies of all the wives of Krishna. So the important point in this verse is how it was possible that Arjuna could be defeated by a gang of ignoble cowherd men, and how such mundane cowherd men could touch the bodies of the wives of the Lord Krishna, who were under the protection of Arjuna. So Arjuna was asked to take the wives to Hastinapur, so they could live there, and but they were stopped by these cowherd men, and apparently they were kidnapped. The wives were kidnapped. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has justified the contradiction by research in the Vishnu Puran and Brahma Puran. In these Purans, it is said that once the fair denizens of heaven pleased, so this is the background to this, that once the denizens of heaven pleased Astavakar Muni by their service and were blessed by the Muni to have the Supreme Lord as their husband. And Astavakar Muni was curved in 8 joints of his body, and thus he used to move in a peculiar curved manner. And the daughters of the demigods couldn't check their laughter upon seeing the movements of the Muni, and the Muni, being angry at them, cursed them that they would be kidnapped by rogues, even if they would get the Lord as their husband. So that was the background. And then later on, the girls again satisfied the Muni by their prayers, and the Muni blessed them that they would regain their husband even after being robbed by the rogues. So, in order to keep the words of great Muni, the Lord himself kidnapped his wives from the protection of Arjuna. So that's the reality according to Srimad Bhagavatam. Otherwise, they would have at once vanished from the scene as soon as they were touched by the rogues. Besides that, some of the gopis who prayed to become wives of the Lord returned to their respective positions after their desire was fulfilled, and after the departure of Lord Krishna, he wanted all his entourage back to Godhead, and they were all called back under different conditions only. So we wonder sometimes where the 6,100 wives come from. So according to this, some were the denizens of heaven, and others were gopis. So it's a mixture. This is why we get mixed answers sometimes. Who were these who were these wives? So they were a mixture of gopis, denizens for heaven. Sometimes we even hear that there were some of the munis from the time of Ramchandraji, that they wanted association with Krishna, and Krishna promised that when you will become my wives. We heard that as well. So it's a mixture. O king, since you have asked me about our friends and relatives in the city of Dwarka, Arjun says that I will inform you that all of them were cursed by Brahmins, and as a result they all became intoxicated with wine made of putrefied rice and fought among themselves with sticks, not even recognizing one another. Now all but 4 or 5 of them are dead and gone. So only 4 or 5 of them are actually alive. Now the rest have died. Now I am attracted to these instructions imparted to me by the personality of Godhead, because they are impregnated with the instructions for relieving the burning heart in all circumstances of time and space. So Krishna realized that Arjuna realized that now Krishna has gone. He'll have to take association of his instructions in Bhagavad-Gita, which Krishna spoke to him at the battle of Kurukshetra. Because there is no difference between the sound representation of the Lord and the Lord himself. So one can derive the same benefit from the Bhagavad Gita as Arjuna did in personal presence of the Lord. So Arjuna found relief by remembering Krishna through Bhagavad Gita, the instructions he gave, and that gave him a lot of peace and clarity of what he had to do. So thank you so much. We'll leave this here and get your participation in this. So I want to thank you all for joining this morning. Sureshi Mataji, my father-in-law ji, and Pratyush Prabhu, Prem Prakash Prabhu rather, and Rukuni Mataji, 3 iPhone Prabhus or Matajis, I don't know who they are. Madhav Sham Sundar Prabhu, Partha Prabhu, Parveen Mataji, and Venkat Prabhu. Thank you all for joining this morning. Who would like to make a start and like to hear your comments and statements on these pastimes of Lord Krishna living? Okay. Maybe Partha Prabhu, anything from you?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, nice class. Wonderful class. So, I think like realization is like 2 things I felt. One, you already mentioned, Prabhu, like no one should be popped up with the skills. If at all we have skills, use it for the service of the Lord, but don't get arrogant of the skills what you have, because that has just been given to you so that you can serve the Lord better and get the connection with the Lord. Another thing I felt, Prabhu, like when you mentioned about this mistakes, illusion, instability, greedy. I mean, we also get, normally when we have a company of certain friends, we normally will not be able to leave that friendship because we derive some happiness by staying with them. But if you see any of these symptoms, then that is the best thing, I think, like leave that company and look for a good company, which will help you to improvise your service towards the Lord. That's all, Prakash.
Right, thank you so much. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, it is difficult, and you do find that you get lured into those kind of conversations, it is very difficult as a Grista, which I always mention in on the Sunday classes. But the brahmacharis and sannyasis will have their problems, which they don't always share with us, but they surely do have their own set of problems being brahmacharis and sannyasis. But I always find that they have the upper hand in that way, that they don't need to associate with the public so much. But they might actually, I heard one Prabhu say that being a brahmachari or sannyasi, people load you with their issues and their problems, and they have to deal with them. Okay, yeah, it's true. So that's one thing. But like you said, that we sometimes we end up talking about topics or things that are not really useful to our spiritual life. So yeah, that is a problem, and sometimes said that we should participate with public life as little as possible. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Okay, Rukmini Mataji, you want to say something?
This is very sad subject today because Krishna Bhagavan is leaving us and he left us alone.
Yeah.
So I'm not happy about that. But still his karma and his action and his all good things we have to remember and we have to follow. Only is that is the lesson for today.
Yeah,
Just chant him and be happy.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely right. But Krishna left his instructions, and he is in his instructions. Just like our gurus, like Srila Prabhupada, he the body. This is music book, and everybody has to live, and Krishna has to live because he has to do his pastimes in other planets. He takes his associates, his pastime team with him, and then they go to another universe and do their pastimes there. But but Krishna is, his instructions are also Krishna, and we should feel the presence of Krishna in his instructions. In his in Srimad Bhagavatam is the incarnation of Krishna himself. So that way we can associate. I mean, we won't be able to see him now in the Kali Yuga. We won't be able to see Krishna with our mundane eyes anyway. So, but thank you so much, Mataji. Right. Madhav Shamsundar Prabhu, you want to say something?
Haribol.
Haribol Prabhu. Thank you for joining. You there, Prabhu?
Mic is.
Oh, you mute. You got mute. Okay. Any of the iPhone ×3 would like to say something? All right, no problem. Maybe that's Sureshi Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Lord Krishna, he appears and disappears million after millennium. And when he's finished his pastimes, he goes to his abode. And why he disappears? Because it's not his abode. It's a material world. So when he finishes his pastimes, he goes to spiritual world. That's where he lives. And in Bhagavad-Gita, he says, he comes for so many reasons, and one of the reasons is he says yada dehi dharm se galani bhavati bharata avidhanam dharm se tadatman sajamahe. That whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice or descendant of Bharata and a predominant rise of the religion, at that time I descend myself. Well, sometimes he just personally pleases devotees, so he appears just like Lord Rama appeared in Dasharatha and Kaushalya's house, and then Lord Krishna, Vasudeva, and Devaki. And he appeared in Yadu dynasty to help the Pandavas and to give pleasure to Nanda Maharaj and Jashoda Mata and the gopis. He stayed on this planet Earth for 125 years. People who saw him last before he left the planet Earth was Uddhava and Maitra Muni. They were very lucky, and the Lord gave them the knowledge of Bhagavatam. Later on, Maitra Muni, same knowledge, he gave it to Vidura. And then Jara, the hunter, he was very lucky as well. He shot with the arrow. And that Jara hunter he was Bhrigumani in his past life. And when he kicked on the chest of Lord Vishnu, Mother Lakshmi wasn't very pleased. And then he had to suffer and he became the hunter. And before he left, he told Daruk, his charioteer, to go and tell in Dwarika that Dwarika gonna get flood, and they have to go to Hastinapur with Arjun. And when he left, nobody could see how he left. He left for his abode just like a flash of lightning, which hardly anyone could see. And the benefit of disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that when Lord Ram left, he left Ramayana, so we can read the past times. When Lord Krishna disappeared, he left Bhagavad-Gita and Bhagavatam. And when Lord Chaitanya left, he left the Harinam, so we can chant Hare Krishna and go to the spiritual world. As soon as Krishna left, the Kali Yuga was around the corner. As soon as Krishna left, the Kali Yuga disappeared. And then it starts telling the story of how the Kali Yuga. So the lesson we get is that Krishna comes, is very, very merciful. He comes here and he leaves something, his activities, so we can read and then go to his abode, like he disappeared to his abode, so we can go to his abode as well. Well, that's what I can say.
Jai, thank you so much, Mata. You're absolutely right. So they come for the purpose, and the main reason is they come to please the devotees, come down, and they also leave, like I said, instructions for us which may be lost. So they leave instructions again, so we know how to get that. Thank you so much, Mataji. And Prem Prakash Prabhu there?
I mean, it is interesting, but it's heartbreaking as well. As long as we, yeah, and that's okay. That's I mean, as long as we feel disheartened by the disappearance. Are you able to hear me, Prabhuji? I don't know. Sound is okay.
Probably you can hear you.
Is it better now?
Yeah, this is okay. Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So, I was just thinking that it's very disheartening and heartbreaking that we know that our beloved Krishna is leaving our planet. We are not going to have his association. Although it's still there, it's kind of a bhav, and that's we are okay to have that bhav. We should be having that bhav. As Krishna says that the person who knows about his appearance and disappearance, which are both divine, will never take a rebirth. So it's okay to have that feeling of separation that will intensify love for Krishna. And if you're not having it, then it's a matter of concern. Then we need to think that what's happening. But yes, it's absolutely natural. That's purpose, to have this discourse and then have that feelings. Also, I mean, as Krishna says that he doesn't have to take birth again, but the Pandavas are very best souls and special souls. They are not even interesting in that they shouldn't be taking birth or get liberated. The moment Krishna leaves, the next verses which read that they also leave the planet to assist him in his pastimes in the next, in the another universe. And as the pastimes of Krishna are going on, Pandavas also blessed souls who are moving with him to assist him in his pastimes in one planet to another. So they are eternal associates, and we are just relishing their pastimes, bringing them deep in our heart to make sure that we also get nectar, a drop of nectar, which might flood our entire, which will flood us. A drop of Krishna's love, and a drop of that love, a minute portion, if we ask, beg, and whatever we can do to get that mercy, that's going to flood our life. So that's my understanding. That's my contribution. Also, just one more thing, that people say that Krishna left just with one arrow of a hunter. Is it true? I mean, obviously, whatever they have perception, that it, because they build perception because of that. But there's another pastime where Krishna was sitting as a charioteer on the Arjun's horse, and there's so many arrows that stuck him on the face, head on head. And it's a description in a Bhishma Stuti where the Bhishma Dev is watching Krishna coming towards him, and he's bleeding. Right, blood is coming out, sweating, he's bleeding. That means that so many arrows in a battle hit Krishna. Because of that, he's bleeding. So if Krishna is able to survive everything in the battle, although he's not affected, all the blood and everything is transcendental, and he did so to give pleasure to Bhishma Dev, to his devotees. So he can't actually leave the planet just with the arrow of a hunter. It's all arranged, and as you said, Anna Sarveshi Mataji enlightened us with the pastime, that it was all arranged basically for the pastimes of Bhrigu and the hunter, basically, who is just doing a play. Okay, just on a stage, that okay, you do like this, and then I leave the stage, kind of that thing. So it's a leela or drama that is happening over there, and the hunter will, I mean, because of his previous understanding the role to play, he will just come on the stage. Okay, and Krishna says that okay, you shoot the arrow. Okay, fine. And because I have to leave, I need a reason, so I'll just leave like that, and then I'll appear as a different forms, like my Vani, myself as a word incarnation, as Bhagavatam. So all this is arranged. Krishna never left us. Krishna is always with us. It's the way we actually associate and we perceive him. But in every sphere of life, as a part of devotee, Krishna is always there with him. Like in our chanting, in our deity worship, in our remembrance, in our reading scriptures. So that he is still there. The feeling that we have for him is the mercy of Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Rohit. And Radharani, Radharani says that Krishna is also in our heart as the super soul, so he's always with us. So good point. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhu. Yes, wonderful points. And yeah, I mean, Lord Gauranga, he tried to teach us love in separation. That was his message, that we should be loving Krishna in separation. Even at the Ras dance, Krishna left the gopis because he wanted to intensify their love for him in separation. And this is what we should be having, love in separation for Krishna. But our problem is we are envious of him. We don't love him. We are envious of him. This is why we're here. And if we love somebody, we will not be envious of them. You know, we love our children. If they do well, we get happy, right? We love our parents. If they do well, we get happy because we love them. But because we don't love Krishna, we get envious of him. You know, we think him as third party. We don't think of him as our own. Now, if we loved him, then we would miss him, which we don't. Now, when we're chanting, when we think, just like Mahaprabhu, when we're chanting, tears used to come in his eyes. Tears don't come into eyes because we don't miss Krishna. There is no love in separation for us, and that's what we're looking for. We're looking for that love in separation. When we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Tears, if tears start coming in eyes, then yes, the love is developing. We are feeling the separation. Like Prabhupada used to, people asked to Prabhupada, why you always look so sad? He said, well, you know, you won't understand. I I'm missing my association with, it's love in separation that gives the sadness. That sadness should be there. That transcendental sadness should be there for the Lord. So wonderful. Thank you for bringing that up, Prabhuji. Jai. Praveen Mataji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, yes. Beautifully explained by everybody. It was heavy, so I felt that thing when you were explaining about Arjun. And the way I'm thinking is like we are in a boarding school, and so we just like children, they go away from parents, so we just away from Krishna, and Krishna's name and is non different from him. Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. So we have got him. So it's just we are just away in a boarding school, and we just have to work hard to go back to him and make him proud. So yeah, I'm just feeling a bit, I don't know, sad.
Yeah.
So yeah. Mm.
Well,
Yeah, but like you said, Prabhuji, maybe we were envious, but we are not envious of Krishna. We love him, but it's, I don't know. I can't even imagine how can we be envious of Krishna, you know.
but this is why we are quoting scripture. This is why we're still here.
Yeah, you know, that's what I keep questioning myself. Why did I want to be, you know, without him? Why I wanted to work on my free will and, you know, be away from him? So it's hard because, and the other thing is like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we like, are we in golden age? So I was listening to one class because they said after, you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appeared, so like 10,000 years are golden years, and that's how I feel exactly. This is the golden time because now with the COVID and everything, we've got access to so many classes, which was not happening before. So it was just Sunday Sangha I was going to, and now so we are so fortunate, so we just have to press the Zoom button and like we are with everybody. So for me it is the golden age. And yeah, I used to feel bad, like people eating, drinking, and really used to feel bad. So that's why we never made friends, because everybody was interested in meat eating, and they say, oh, you don't do this. And but now with the devotees association, it just makes my heart, you know, so happy to see there's so many people like us, you know. So this is what I was missing for so many years. And so always thankful Prabhupada, you know, so to giving us this community. So yeah, for me this is golden age. I'm feeling happy.
Thank you, Ali. Yeah, Krishna works in mysterious ways, as I say. So,
Can I say, Prabhu, can I say something about separation?
Anju,
You were right. I mean, if you attached to the Bhagavatam, you keep on reading about all, and then when it comes to the end, and when Krishna leaves the planet Earth, and how Arjun feels, how Maharaj Yudhishthira feels, you feel as well. I feel very much. I think like I was with Krishna, and just Krishna left us. That's the separation, you know. I mean, all the times, I mean, you feel the separation when in the book, the Bhagavatam, you feel the separation. So I don't know how the people that were with them, how they felt.
yeah.
I mean, you can feel as well. I feel myself, I sometimes when tears come out, I feel, oh, Krishna is gone. He's gone. So much feeling. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Haribol.
Very well. Okay. Okay. So let's do a couple of rounds first of all now. Swashi Mataji, you want to make a start?
Yeah, okay.
We'll get Rukmani Mataji do the second round.
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gavana Bana Ticharane Nirvisesa Sunya Bhadi Paschata Desatarane Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna